and then buying something there. And then he looked at me and said, that looks like a new tattoo, all right? And I hear, and I just told you there's no reason behind this, So they like to talk. And I said, yes, it's a cat. Oh, do you have a cat? Well, I used to have a cat, and now, it's dead. And got run. I looked very sad. It got run over by a car. It's flat. So I decided to have this tattoo, and so on. And then they patted me on my shoulder and said, oh, yeah, it's all right, like a 7-Eleven, So they were happy. They got a nice story. I was happy I could make somebody, feel a connection and so on.
But did you just make that up?
Yep.
So what changes have you made?
At 45 years old, I had an episode and I decided to start working out. Okay.
What can you tell us what the episode is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was I left work with a company because I wanted to come back to Australia. That was the only reason. It was a terrific work. I enjoyed everything about the job and everything, people and everything was good. But I missed living in Sydney.
Mm.
So I came back and was prepared for the transition and everything, all right? But something kicked off, and usually it's a trigger. And I would say, all right, that it is, had I gone to see a doctor or psychologist, he would have said, you maybe have some depression.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
So I went to see my superannuation guy,
Oh, yeah.
and I said, what happened if I were to cock it? And he looked at me and said, oh, you have insurance, you have this, you'll be fine, your family will be fine.
Yeah.
You never say this these days to someone who asks you such a question, right? Because there's more awareness now, okay? So, and then the girls, my wife, thanks to her, she does do good things for me, all right? On the record. And she said, oh, why don't you take the girls to karate?
Okay.
So I started them, and then I was very busy at work, but I would somehow send them there, sit with them for an hour and a half, then go home. All right. And sometimes I go back to work. I have these projects. Right? And then my wife said, why you sit there for an hour and a half? Why don't you join the class? So I said, okay. So I joined the class twice a week. All right. And regardless of how old you are, what perceived status you might be in, if you join the class as a newbie, right, you get the end of the line. You are a nobody in a karate class. You earn your badge.
Right.
For your stripes. So, and then I was not living too healthy a life because I had started work then. Smoking, drinking, eating, very bad food, and then always with the excuse that, the stress of the job, which is sometimes it's just a job, but more or less excuses, right? Because you have the opportunity to like take an ice cream break or beef pie break after dinner or before dinner. All right, another coffee, which is another 150 or 200 calories unnecessary. Yeah. So that piled on. Yeah. And then when I got into the karate training, all right, and you had to work very hard. Okay. So and as I said, you are nobody because all the sensei says to you when you're new is that you get at the end of the line, like all the kids will be in front of you, but they really earn their positions. It's a full contact karate, and then and you would stand there and he would come to you and say, "Follow." That's all he would say. All right, so you sort of like mess around and follow, and then one day after maybe a couple of months, you're standing there with your punching stance, and then he comes across to you. So do a punching stance.
Let the hand like this.
And then he will come to you and he will
just correct it
and
a
he
tiny
said,
bit.
Wow, the sensei touched me, like he corrected me, right? So he does focus on you, all right, but he lets you learn first and earn your way through. So it's not like you're neglected, all right? And then I found out I was motivated, to really try and work at it and so on. I was catching up and I was feeling good. So I was between 45 and 50 at that time. And then I said, maybe I'll even do better if I don't smoke, drink less, eat better, and sort of that motivated me to adjust. Yeah, it took me a little while, of course.
Yeah.
And then I got fitter and so on, and I felt good. And when you do this, all right, and people ask you about it, you share with based on things that you have done. And this is very much about people coming to you and ask you about sharing or advice about work or about your faith or Christianity. Oh yes, I go to church on Sunday, but nothing else. All right, and it's good for you, but nothing else. So I felt that was good for me, and it really I learned a lot about life and engaging with people and discipline and so on. All right, and it's a journey. So I think that was a very important part of my life to get me back on track.
Okay. So you, if I hear it correctly, you're kind of grappling with the fact that you may be working too much, but also not looking after your health as much.
Yes.
And then so you had this kind of thought and idea of thinking about actually what happens if I die?
Well, I shouldn't blame it on the work or anything, all right? Because sometimes when these things happen, and I'm not no professional at this, I'm not, a medical person, but a lot of times these things happen because of a trigger, and you don't always know the cause. It's like you break your arm. So they did break my arm in karate sparring.
Oh, did they?
Yes, I have a plate inside here. So if I may say this, I didn't get this falling the toilet.
You earned that plate.
I earned it, and I think although it's a difficult process, it's a learning process, right? You have to watch for these triggers. Like if you break your arm, you can't say, oh, the cause is because I did karate or because I ran too fast. So don't run fast. Don't do karate. Stay at home. Sit down quietly. Don't do anything. Right? So, but what triggered it? All right? And sometimes many things can trigger. It could be stress. It could be something that, came up in your life. It could be something more physical or emotional. All right, as a result of something or someone. So you cannot avoid all these triggers. So you there is no solution, what I'm saying, but you can try to look after yourself and be a little bit prepared to recover if you do fall. And very often it's very helpful to be in a community for this.
I see. Yeah.
You always come back. I always come back to this about the community. To me, that's very important.
Can I ask, we went on a big long tangent, a very fun one actually, but we were kind of talking about how when you came back to Sydney with, hopefully I pronounce this right, Michi,
exactly.
Yeah. And Grace had just been, she was pretty young.
She was young, she was about 2, and Michelle was on the way.
Oh, Michelle was on the way, okay. I was wondering how big a gap it was between the two of them. So just from that point in time, where did you live, and how did you like make life happen again, given that you'd moved again?
Yes,
with your family this time.
Yes, it was very looking back. All right, it was quite a major move.
Yeah.
Although at that time I didn't feel it. So we came, and then the first few months I was with my aunt, and then I looked around to put some money down to get a mortgage and so on. And I had no idea how this works. So we lived in Singapore, what they call it, government housing.
Okay.
All right, where you buy it. All right, so 99-year lease and so on. So we had to sell that to put money down for the mortgage. I think interest at that time was 16 or 17%. All right.
This is early 90s, I'm guessing.
It was end of 1990.
Okay.
91. Okay. So, and I think looking back, all right, you can only say that God must have been in our lives all right, because we came just like packed our bags and so on. We didn't even have a lot of stuff to move.
Yeah,
right?
we're just out of here. We're off.
Yeah, and we, Peter Allen singing in the background. And then we brought our stuff here, and then very little stuff, all right? And then so this is the road, this house where we are now, so we're still there, all right? And so we restarted our lives, and then we were looking for a school for Grace, and then eventually Michelle. And around Ryde, of course, right? And then there's one public school there, and then my wife was looking at it and so on. And then a little bit further, 7 minutes walk from our house, all right, just past this Meadowbank Public School, it's this school with demountables, all right, containers. It was a German international school, all right. And then, so I said, I work for a German company, so I'll just go and check it out. And then I said, we'll park our kids here for a couple of years while we scout around and look for different schools, maybe, because we were new to the scene. And then they stayed there, and then they had fantastic teachers. So everything was in German,
Do you know
except English.
Yes, I knew this.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Except English, all right? So I said, well, okay, comfort zone factor and all that kind. Let's try it. So we put them there, and then the teachers were very positive, and they always say to us, we don't speak German, the teachers always say to us, oh, your kids are fine, they speak German. I said, like, okay, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So until the Christmas concert, and they were all there, little kids, Grace and Michelle, they all singing in German, another language, another culture, right? Very different from our culture, and also very different from cultures in Australia, the years I've been here. So it was really different, and that was the best experience. So we said, okay, maybe next year we'll change it next year, and then they finished, they went through the equivalent of the HSC, the International Baccalaureate, and then they went on to university.
Yeah, and I remember talking to Grace and Michelle about it, and they said, it was pretty good. Like, they enjoyed it a lot.
Yes. We miss out because when we have dinner together, and they would have discussions, and they know that, we are there, so they switched to German.
But they didn't want you to know what they were talking about.
Yeah, and they go very fast. So
Yeah.
we know a few words, but then they go extra fast.
But can't Grace speak like 6 languages or something?
No, not really. I'll leave that for Grace to tell you.
Well, she can at least speak German, we know that, and English, we know those two.
Yes.
But yeah, she can speak a lot of languages. Can I ask you, what do you think God has taught you through being a father?
Without sounding silly or frivolous, and it's a lot. You feel very humbled.
Yeah.
Yeah, that as an older person and as a parent, as you guys are, that you still have a lot to learn. And I think, if I may share this, all right, my wife taught me something, which it's very interesting, and in relation to kids and upbringing. She said, sometimes they only want you to listen. That they don't, you don't feel, maybe as the father, you feel you want to give a solution to everything. And the best thing that growing up in this environment and so on with them is that the best thing for me, and I think, I do encourage people with younger children, because you still have the opportunity not to be missed, is to let them talk to you without so much as trying to, we call it guiding them, but it's not. Maybe it's more influencing or trying to maneuver or manipulate them in the way you think is right. Sometimes just let them talk and listen, and then ask, why do you feel this way? What do you mean? And so without being judgmental. Because they do go through a lot of challenges in their lives growing up, and sometimes it's very hard for them to say it out, what they mean, all right, because feelings are complicated.
Yeah, I'd probably echo that. And I do love it when my kids are able to articulate what they're going through, and they can tell you, but sometimes they need maybe a bit of help doing that. But it's very special when they share with you openly, I think.
It's very, very, very important because
Mm.
I have a friend and he has a daughter. We talked some years ago, and she said, Gerald, I have my daughter is undergoing a lot of challenges in life and so on, right? And sometimes she feels quite down, and sometimes I don't know what to do and so on, yeah, and I worry about her and so on. And I said, but who does she go and talk to, yeah? Because we all have problems and challenges and so on. And then he said, oh, she comes and talk to me. And I said, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Rather than go on the internet or some website or some friends or so-called friends and so on.
Yep.
And if you can have this relationship with the people closest to you, and this would, I guess, be your children, yeah, this is really important. And it's not to be taken for granted. Because you can, all right, develop a relationship with mutual respect and seeing them not just as children, but also as friends. Eventually they will grow up. All right.
Eventually. And then sometimes you don't want them to grow up.
Yes, this is something quite sad as a parent to see. They can't jump on you anymore and sit on your shoulders and all that.
Yeah, no, I was saying to you before we started recording, like next year I've got 3 children at school. It's just mind blowing to me. Like I can't comprehend the fact that they're all at school next year. But
the time will just go by. You will look back and so on, and well, at least for me, I can say, I do regret some of the times where I was less patient with them.
It's probably every parent there ever was.
Yeah,
So.
but I do strongly regret.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there's also something in the fact that you acknowledge that and also can acknowledge that to them and say, I stuffed up. And if you can say that to them, I think they appreciate that too.
It's harder than that because speaking for myself, all right, I think sometimes it's easier, maybe easier to be forgiven than to forgive yourself. Sometimes.
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes with my kids, I'm like, you do forgive me, right? Like, because I haven't forgiven myself for what I've done. So I think that is sometimes a battle that I have as well.
Yes. And hold them close because, the time will grow up and they will come and they grow up and they will move away. And you want them to look after themselves and so on.
Yeah.
But you will miss this. And if you take a step back, perhaps your parents miss this too.
No, for sure. Yeah. As I think my mum or dad said it to me a couple of weeks ago. You don't ever stop being a parent. You don't ever stop worrying about your kids.
You die.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's the day.
There is a saying that, that a child does not become an adult until the parent passes.
That's interesting. There's a lot of truth in that too. So then you've moved to Ryde. Is that so that's where you bought the house?
Yes.
And so you're still working for, I forget, is it Nicksoft?
Nickstoff. Heinz Nickstoff was, he started the company, Nickstoff.
Do we know anything that Nickstoff have done that people would know?
Lots of stuff like printers and so on. And also Nickstoff did one of the major supermarkets here, many years, including Myers in department stores, changed their system. Once upon a time, there were some Nickstoff stuff in there.
Okay.
Oh, okay, right.
So they did come to international. So this man, he's like the patriarch of this company. All right. So I told you a little about my time in Germany and so on. And he every year during the fair in Hanover, all right, he would be there with his people, dancing, the German dancing, the beer and everything. And one day he had a heart attack at one of his functions and died. And at that time I was working for the company in Singapore, and there was a legacy because we were basically a Singaporean company, a German company in Singapore, right? Also Singaporean colleagues and so on. And then after Nixdorf died, he had some of his shares, all right, shared out with all the employees. I just joined, so I didn't get a share of this, but a little token, all right, everybody,
sure.
all right. And in those days in Singapore, they still have what we call tea ladies, people who come and bring tea for you and look after the office and so on.
Right.
And even she got something, right, from this.
Because she'd been working for so long.
Because she's working for time with the company, all right. And so I think they couldn't hold the share, so they had to sell it and give it to them in cash and kind.
I see.
And and I thought this is a very good community, that you do look after the people, all right, who contributed to this, all right. And he built sporting facilities in Germany and so on. So a lot of stories about this. It's a legendary figure, Heinz Nixdorf.
And it sounds like it feels like you're proud for working for that company for someone like him.
Yes, of course. I never met him. I met him through someone who worked directly for him, and he and I, he's retired in the 80s, and he and I are still in touch, and we are still friends. And it showed me, all right, how important the culture is, all right, and the relationships that you can build, all right, and it was built on trust, all right. Of course, you have to do the work, all right, but it's also built on trust and mutual support. And it's incredible. I learned so much. So I really enjoyed my time in sales and in karate. So work, sales, karate, and workouts and gym and stuff like that. Because this gives you maybe a little bit more energy to be able to do the rest of the things that you do in life.
Yeah. Did you work for Nixdorf the entire time until you retired?
No, the company changed then, and then so I eventually worked for another German company. All right, some of the same.
Tim's happy.
Same people. German Telekom.
Okay.
Deutsche Telekom.
Oh yeah.
I also had a very, very interesting time, and there was then. And then after that, I worked for another company, a software company.
Okay. And then obviously, you retired.
And then I tried retiring a few times because it's not easy to do this. Because there's lots of responsibilities. It's not like the bills are still there.
Yes.
And then you have to make decisions. And I decided that I would carry the burden of this guilt if I don't do what I have to do regarding my parents.
Yes.
All right. So 10, 15 years ago, I built a budget for the travel. All right. So I can give you a lot of, this time I can say, advice on economy airfares and budget airlines. And we worked out with my wife that we don't always go back together, because besides the fact that she also has her church and her community, there's also a budget thing. All right. So, and that sort of like eased into this retirement, and finally, I decided to just make the break. It's not so easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really something that's crossed my mind that much at the moment, but
yes,
yeah, it's obviously it might come.
Yes, you have to, although it's the benefit of time, but you still have you can look at it from the fact that if you think about it, you're very blessed because you have more time to prepare, right? Without sounding like it's like the the next phase of life, but also the preparation itself. Can be fun and positive.
Yeah,
of course.
I like that you try and find the positive in lots of situations.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must look at it from the positive side.
One of the questions I had, and because we're talking about how your faith is growing. You're talking about how you've been on a journey in regards to that.
Mm-hmm.
So when Grace and Michelle are out doing various things, especially Grace working for City Bible Forum, and then I'm guessing obviously they would have gone to church and become Christians themselves. What are you seeing in that in terms of observing what they're doing with their lives? And it seems like that's had a big impact on your faith as well. But were you surprised that Grace went down that path, for example, of what she's doing? I mean, because Michelle became a doctor.
Grace and Michelle ceaselessly surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because maybe I shouldn't put this on the record because they might hear it, but I told them once, and maybe I should regret saying this, have said this, but I said, if there are two paths to what you want to achieve, maybe you should take the tougher path.
Okay.
All right. Grace graduated as a lawyer, and she worked 4.5 years, I think, with the coroners. Yeah, it's a very difficult situation. And at times, she saw things, that were very difficult.
She would have.
Very, very difficult. Michelle as well, went through very tough times. It was not a breeze for her. Okay, but when he decided to do things with the church and so on, all right, I felt that this was a decision that they made with God. Okay, and it's not like they're doing something negative.
Yeah.
When they graduated, I said this to both of them in various ways, but more directly is that I paid for your education, and I want something back.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "What?"
What is that?
And I said, "You have to put something back into this country."
Okay.
All right. And what it is, only you will know. But you have to have this in your mind to put something back. People shouldn't be just taking things out and not think about putting it back, regardless of what other people might think or do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I told them. You have to put something back.
Like contribute.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you have to think about it. I didn't say more than that.
I can see that in them, though. Like, I mean, I'm sure Tim would probably echo this, but Grace and Michelle are such lovely people, and they're also extremely capable. Or that's how they come across to me.
I want to stop you there for a moment, all right? Because we all have our challenges, including me, maybe including you, including Grace and Michelle, and so on. So there are things that perhaps we don't always see.
Yes.
Okay?
Of course.
And it's also good to be mindful of that with respect to other people's conditions and situation, all right? So that there is no judgment or comparison, right? Michelle went through tough times as well, very, very tough times, all right? When she was out alone in the country, in the hospital at night, and having to deal with, lots of issues, including one guy who shot himself in the foot, literally.
Right. Yeah, right.
Right? And a sick boy, I think it was a boy, a sick young child. Yeah. And she was out there, and she made friends out there and so on. But it was difficult. And they do look after her as a community. They wanted her to stay where they were all looking for someone to to make her stay.
Yeah, I remember her telling me that.
Yes. So on.
I think all I meant to say was that I think that they don't shy away from the hard path. From what I've seen, what you're saying there, I with Grace and Michelle, I don't see them doing that. They aren't scared of taking on something.
You want to say that as someone looking at what they are doing, and also you have to also look at it from the point of view as a parent, because it's also difficult for the parent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to go through that hard stuff sometimes.
As a parent, right, or less hard would be the preference.
Yeah. A little bit of hard, not too much.
Not too much,
Right,
right, but hard. Of course, we joke about it, but how do you quantify that? Or qualify
Yeah,
that?
yeah, totally. Yeah.
So you must find a way to let them do what they want to do, and just be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting more difficult because they grow up and we grow old.
Mm-hmm.
But you are young guys, so you have plenty of time to contemplate.
I don't feel young anymore. But just convince myself. My dad's like 60 something. He's like, we just tell ourselves we're 50. I'm like, well, that's not a bad idea, because then you at least think you're acting younger.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Right, both of you can answer. Is that if you had, for want of a better description, a crystal ball?
Okay.
All right. Could you derive good benefits from it?
Oh. What do you think, Tim? That's
Great question.
That's a more
It's a leading question, but
sociological. So if I had a crystal ball and I could see into the future,
do you think that that's a benefit
of having the crystal ball?
Yes, having this opportunity.
I mean, I think it touches on the question of, would we learn the same lessons if we knew we were about to go through them? And I'm not sure if we would. I think it's going through without knowing is part of the learning process.
So it's necessary to go through it.
It's necessary to go through it, and I think it's necessary to go through without having a guaranteed outcome. In a limited sense. I mean, obviously, as Christians, in the ultimate sense, we know where it all ends. But in the limited sense of this particular moment, I think part of the lessons we learn by not knowing how this is going to resolve. And I think it also comes back to you mentioned before, your spiritual journey is a journey in relationship with God, and I think that is also part of it. That part of the learning to be in relationship means to trust even when I don't know the outcome, and so it's part of the learning to be with God. I don't know what I'm going through right now. I don't know why I'm going through this, or I don't know why my child is going through this. I don't know how long this will last. I don't know. I don't have all these answers. And yet, because I am assured of your fatherly goodness, I can, and so it builds the relationship as that. So I think it's necessary for life, but it's also necessary for faith to not know. That would be my take.
And you?
I mean, I think a lot of the things that Tim said there are really great. I think the initial reaction is you want the crystal ball so you can avoid difficulties and challenges, like you're saying. But I don't, as Tim's saying, that may not be the ideal scenario for you to learn and grow. And I always think about where it's James and Peter says that you're refined by fire in the Bible, and fire is not like that analogy is that the fire is actually burning, like it's heating you up, it's burning you, it's removing the impurities from you like they would with gold or other kind of smelting processes.
And Jesus talking about the vine was pruned and
all that kind of imagery in the Bible is now I think about that more is that, and I always think about, I remember someone said like nothing of good value comes from easy things, like good thing that's valuable in your life come from hard things. And I think part of the hardness is not knowing that something's coming or not knowing how to get through it. But you always look back 5 years from that moment and go, I learnt so much from that and I've grown from that. And then I think as a result, if you know that's going to happen when difficult times are, I will get through this. But I think in knowing that God is doing it for a reason to make you more like his son is what it really helps in going, I can sustain this, I can withstand this is probably the better word. I think that's what I thought of when you asked me if I could have a crystal ball.
But actually, we do have. So a lot of it is the Bible.
Mm.
All right. It's a lot of. You can read the Bible from, of course, various aspects, and you listen to the sermons and you learn new things. All right, and you can do this for a couple of thousand years, and you still learn new things.
Yeah,
right.
Because it's God's nature. Yeah.
And why is it this way? I think it's this way because of the lessons that at that time in your life you face certain challenges, and these lessons or these records speak to you. So in a way, that many of the feelings and many of the challenges we go through in life, whether it's at work or in health or in relationships, they're documented in the Bible. So you can look at it and say, oh, people have been there, all right, and they have fallen, and this is how they pick themselves up, or this was the outcome, and so on. So there are lots of learnings, all right. I think sometimes, and I'm speaking for myself, that when we were growing up, we looked a lot at the New Testament, because that gives people the hope that if we mess up, and so on. But there's also a lot of teachings in the Old Testament about how people live their life as a community, how people support one another.
Yeah.
All right. What you should do and what you should do, down to how to build a temple, and even the measurements of the ark and things like that. So very practical if you're into that. Yeah. and there are learnings. So I think you can look into this and say, if you don't, and also subsequently about not to bury all your talents, right? Yeah, and to put them to good use. All right. So I think that this, if you, so I started to read it from the Old Testament. Once I was a little bit crazy. I was very young, and I went to my father and said, "Can you buy me a Bible?" And I was very, very young, and I didn't know why I asked him, but so he wrote a short note for me, the King James Version, very, very nice prose. And it took me maybe more than 20 years to read it from cover to cover, because I just wanted to read it as I would read a book.
Yep.
All right. But then I discovered, all right, going through who beget who and who beget what and so on, it was very difficult.
Yes.
All right. But then you get to the stage where you say, but this is a record. All right. Let's say that you have a family birth or marriage register, right? Yeah. You won't say, oh, it's so boring. You say, all right, how it is, because it connects with you. All right. And I think if you look at it from the point of view that the Bible is also a record of history and things that happen, that you could also feel the connection, that this is, people just don't invent something and then go through the hassle of writing all this thing down, yeah.
And dying for it.
And dying for it and everything and so on.
Yep.
So I started to miss out, or start to realize I missed out a lot of the history from the Bible side, and also the cultures, and aside from the genealogy, all right, but the history, the overall history of that time and place.
Yeah.
So when I went to Jerusalem some years ago, and I stood there and I said, okay, it may not be exact spot, but it's within a couple of kilometers
in the
radius,
area,
Yeah.
and everything, and then you felt that yes, there are things you can touch, and there are things that been there and so on, yeah. And I think this is also important in the faith, because we are human beings, and you can only go so much and say, all right, you just close your eyes and have faith, but you need the works as well. So it's a journey for me.
Yeah. But I hear you across this podcast, like talking about how you keep growing, though. And I think that's what's interesting, because I wanted to ask you, you said that one of the biggest influences in your faith was Grace and Michelle starting Soul Revival Ride.
And don't forget the rest. I want to say, all right, all the rest, Ian and Wayne and Louisa.
Oh, and all those guys. Sorry.
Yes, yeah.
That's been a big part of your growth in your faith.
It was a jump.
Yeah, okay. It was an inflection point.
That's right. Yes, inflection.
Okay.
Yes.
So since then, though, I'd be interested, like, since you've been attending, which was originally West Ride, and now we just call it Ride. What's the biggest growth you've seen in your faith from that moment until now?
I know the answer. I'm just trying to find the right words.
That's
all
right.
And it's the encouragement, all right, of the community.
Okay.
All right. And always come back to this. So from both sides, first of all, from the right community, people are stepping up. You know, a lot of people come to church because they have issues in their life. And then they start to feel better.
Is they looking for answers? Is that what you mean?
I don't even go into that, but
Okay.
they feel better for whatever reason.
Yeah, okay.
All right. And then what's the next step? All right. I see people now in Ride putting things back, paying it forward, if you like.
Yeah.
All right. So now they are not just there because they feel better. They are there to help other people feel better.
Are they serving? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we use the word serving. All right. Serving sometimes things a little bit more formal.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
But they contribute.
Yeah.
They are sharing, that things that help them with other people. Then on the other side, all right, Kirawi. Do not forget, all right, that how important Kirawi is to us. Not to be taken for granted. Braden coming out, Stu coming out, the long drive, Paul, the long drive, yeah. We had Leonie over, yeah. We haven't had you, right?
Oh, a while ago.
A
few years ago we came out. Yeah. I was talking to Karen about I want to go out again.
Yes. Okay. So that's already expired.
All right, I have to renew my.
Okay. And Tim and so on. And I was just speaking to some of our guys the other day that Tim came out to talk and because of kids, but there were only like 2 kids. All right. But still, right. And this is even in the Bible, there were only 1 person or 10 persons, and so on. And I think this is so special for me.
Okay.
All right. And this supports the growth in the church and in the faith of not just myself, but a lot of people.
So as you see people growing in their faith, that helps you grow in your faith, but then you're also doing it together as part of the community.
Isn't it sort of like obvious, right? It's like if you go to the gym and there's nobody there, then you take out your phone, right? But if someone is running like crazy on the treadmill next to you, you're sort of like, I shouldn't slack.
Yeah, that's right. It's a mutual encouragement thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I ask you, before I ask the final question,
Okay.
a number of people who I've told that you're coming on the podcast have told me that I have to ask you about your tattoos.
Oh.
And
How many of them?
I was going to say...
How many tattoos, not how many people?
I think it's like probably at least 4 people.
Okay.
These are a recent acquisition, these tattoos?
Yes, in the last year or so.
Right. Do you want to tell us the thinking behind getting them all in the last... It's because... Is there 5? Have you got 5 on there?
I This is probably the only question I have difficulty answering. So,
Okay.
so we'll do it like
Okay.
offline. No, the real reason for this is not like a big life change or a midlife crisis, nothing. I just want to understand, all right, how it feels like to have a tattoo. That's all. That's the main thing.
All right.
All right. And then the most difficult part about it is like, you first of all, don't pick a name, all right? And what I would like to have it. So I decided to the cat.
Okay.
The cat.
Ah, I see the cat behind the left ear. Yep.
And the butterfly. Okay?
Behind the butterfly.
Okay. And then I decided to have it, and there's no real reason or philosophy behind having this tattoo behind my ear.
There's no story about the
There's
cat
no story.
or
No, there's no story.
cat's not meaningful in any way.
No. So one day I was in Singapore, and I arrived, and we were staying out that day with my wife, and we went to the 7-Eleven at 11 o'clock. There's 2 young guys there, right? They were tourists, and they're buying something there. And then he looked at me and said, "That looks like a new tattoo," all right? And I and I just told you there's no reason behind this, So they like to talk. And I said, Yes, it's a cat. Oh, do you have a cat? Well, I used to have a cat, and now, it's dead. And got run. I looked very sad. It got run over by a car. It's flat. So I decided to have this tattoo, and so on. And then they patted me on my shoulder and said, oh, yeah, it's all right, like a 7-Eleven, So they were happy. They got a nice story. I was happy I could make somebody, feel a connection and so on.
But did you just make that up?
Yep. Because I've just had enough of people asking me, what's the philosophy or what's with the cat? Yep. And then I learned what the pain is.
Oh. So that was the only reason. Is that why you've gone with a number more now since you got the cat?
Well, there is one of these.
Yep.
A redback.
Oh, a redback.
Yeah, somewhere. And there's only one that I would perhaps share with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I have to move this.
Oh, okay. This will be interesting.
It's on my arm.
Oh, go ahead. Just if you're only listening, Gerald is removing his jacket so he can show us on the arm. Oh, this is a special reveal.
Exciting.
It's very exciting.
Okay.
All right, on the right arm, yes. Oh, it's like a music. What do we call that?
A stave.
A stave. And with
manuscript.
and a big M underneath it. What does that represent?
Okay, so these are the first bars of Amazing Grace.
Oh, okay.
All
Can you just speak into the microphone so everyone can hear you?
So these are the first bars.
Yeah.
First notes
from Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace.
Really?
And coincidental. And this is M.I., which is coincidentally the first two characters of Michelle.
Oh, so you've got Grace and Michelle on there.
I didn't say that, but but you could offer insight into into my tattoos.
Okay.
Wow. Tim, you ever thought about getting a tattoo? Well, Gerald just puts his jacket back on.
I mean, I have one.
Oh, yeah, you do have one. Sorry.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have the Trinity, the Celtic Trinity symbol, and then around the outside, Father, Son, Spirit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense.
I would. I quite like it was quite addictive. The process
of designing and then getting it.
No. The actual pain of the needle going in.
Really?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Gerald.
I can't remember. I mean, it was a while ago now. I think it was before my kids were born.
Yeah.
I think so. It was at least 16, 17 years ago. We were married, but didn't have kids yet, I think. And I've got thoughts on others, but because of the subculture that was influential to me growing up as a teenager was, skate punk and metal and if I wasn't in church ministry, I would have seriously thought about full sleeve.
Wow.
Kind of designs, but it was mostly because I knew that would be a hindrance to a number of people at church.
Yes.
To have a visible tattoo.
Yes.
That there were a number of people who would find that difficult to receive ministry from someone because of some of the hangover of Christians getting tattoos, and so that's been my main reason not to.
Okay.
But there's some survey that 1 in 4 Australians have a tattoo. So if you see someone like Joel without a tattoo, could be somewhere else.
25% chance. You just can't see it.
Yeah, it's got a hidden somewhere.
Yeah, you've got a tramp stamp across the back, don't you? Just above your belt line.
Yeah, of your face. No, I do not. I do not have any tattoos. I have thought about getting my kids' names.
Okay,
but that's the only thing. I don't know. I don't know if I'll do it or not. Anyway,
I do think, I mean, maybe complete opposite, Gerald, that I would get something that had meaning.
They would have to have meaning.
But also sort of a permanent meaning. It was a fairly permanent process.
Yes.
Like you can't get it removed, but it's...
Yeah.
But you mustn't think
joked about...
That's very bad.
Oh, the process of getting it removed, right?
Yes, because that shows that you are an uncommitted person.
Oh,
right. Yes,
that.
Yeah.
See, I think that's why I haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
because
right. So you have to think about this.
That's right. So I mean, I've joked about things like Batman or some other or Tasmanian Devil or some of the other things that are important to me, but in a fun way. And I was like, I just don't know if they reached the threshold of tattoo.
I think that's fair enough.
But redback is
Red,
Aussie, yeah.
yeah,
And that's basically, that's the only, besides Grace and, well, not Grace and Michelle, the Amazing Grace and the MI, that's the reason for the redback.
yeah,
Of just your adoption into being part of Australia.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should get a Tasmanian devil.
Oh.
Maybe you should.
Yeah,
Maybe you should get a something German.
a German. Yeah, something German.
A wombat or something.
A pork knuckle.
A pork knuckle. What's a pork knuckle in German again?
Schweinsachse.
Schweinsachsen.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, last question.
Okay.
That was fun though. We've looked at a lot of your life,
Yes.
and there's still, I'm sure we've barely scratched the surface. But in the interest of time for the podcast, we can start to wrap up the chips, as we like to say. What would you want to tell your younger Christian self if you could go back in time? Just going to bring the microphone down. There we go. We see your wonderful face on camera.
To be more aware. All right. I chose this word carefully. To be more aware of the community, because this is one thing that you cannot easily recover because of the process of time. So imagine that if you had started the community like you guys have with your kids at Week Away and the youth groups and so on, and if you do this, with more thought, if I had done this, all right, and obviously, as a young person, you don't think about these things because you depend on your leaders, the adults, all right, to guide you, all right, to think about this for you. And if they don't, then the time has passed. So I wished that, we had more of this thing, all right, this community, because eventually, it gets more and more difficult to build this as you go along. And if this is important in someone's life, all right, the community, like going to school, you don't say that I'll start year one, when I'm 30 years old, because you can't go back. So if someone thinks that faith and the work around faith is important, then maybe, it's something that I would have liked to be more thoughtful of, because eventually the time would pass.
And you've seen the benefits of it in you were saying later in your life.
Yes, but you don't usually see the benefits of this in your younger days. So the things that Tim does, it's very challenging. How do you tell kids this, right? And they haven't come to that time in life where they might appreciate it more.
I think that even in youth group, like the things that I appreciate so much about what my leaders did for me, it didn't happen until when I was well out of youth group, for example.
Yes. Then you said, look, I've had 20 years of this. But you can't say I had 20 years of this if you start at 30. Right? You have to wait until you're 50, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is not to be taken lightly.
Yes.
Okay.
What I want to say is that, because you look after kids and you look after older adults and look after the older people, you have each have your own role. It's not like that. It's the process. Everything fits into just one timeline, which is our life.
Yeah. Can I just encourage you though? I feel like you've said a few times like it was a bit of a missed opportunity, but I still see you, even though you're saying it might be a bit later in your life, I still see you really investing in people. Like when this year at Easter we had a chat and you were just like, oh, you're looking good. And I'm like, oh, thanks very much. And then we're just talking about, and we had a lovely chat about some of the things that you've spoken about with your parents. And we don't see each other that much, but we get to see each other at Easter and we're able to spend some time encouraging one another in that. So I feel encouraged by you because you're spending time being in community now and seeing the benefits of it. So that's just as an encouragement to say thank you for the way that you spend time with us. And you say that like Kirrawee is really important to Ride. Ride is so important to us, so that it's only the distance that separates us. But
it should be, you know, in spite of the difference,
Yeah.
distance,
yeah,
you know. And I think this is important. So and this is something that I try to share with Grace and Michelle, because they are quite busy, is that you cannot be all things to all people and all situations, because you will run yourself flat and you won't be able to give your best. So sometimes it's very difficult, because Christians, I think, you know, let's say top level Christians, let's just say that for a moment.
like Tim, right?
like Tim and so on. But you feel that you're compelled to give 100% all the time.
And take care of lots of people.
And you can't. And sometimes it's too easy to let people down, because, you know, you have to cancel on someone, and that could be the most important one of that day. So two things is to think about is, one is to be more careful about not taking too much and diluting the quality. And the second is that to get help, because maybe you can't cover 10, you can cover 5. Maybe you need to ask someone to help you, because, you know, you feel still responsible for the others. And therefore, again, is the community stepping up to do this.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? To ask, to talk, to say, can you help me with this? Right? Or, and I think it's good to ask. Right?
Yeah, and again, that's why we try and spend more time in community, because we can do that and build relationships with each other. Tim, any final words as we wrap up the chips, as we like to say on the Chip Lunch podcast?
No, but thank you for all of your insight. And I think the one thing I've really appreciated is you've referred to all the people that you've learnt from. I thought that came out really clearly. You talking about your parents, wanting to learn as much from your parents as much as possible, what you learn from your kids and your wife and your leaders and your workplace and your community. And I think it came across really strongly to me. You've got this posture of learning, and you've also bestowed a lot of wisdom to us as well. And so I think that cycle of being a learner and distributing wisdom as well I've really appreciated this conversation for those reasons.
Absolutely.
I only have one request going forward.
Okay.
It's not wisdom, it's sharing. Please.
All right.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you. And thank you for sharing your life with us today and at other times in life. And other times in our church life. It's been awesome. And as we like to always, we are finishing now, we'd like to give you a badge for coming on the Chip Lunch
it's not
podcast.
chips.
No, unfortunately not. We did do that for one episode and it stank the place out because it was like 8:30 in the morning. So it wasn't great.
Breakfast chips.
However, breakfast chips didn't go down to it. However, we have chips in a badge format.
Okay.
And there's a black or a yellow one. So would you like to, here's the box for you. Would you like to choose one while we're recording? You can have a black one or a yellow one, whichever you like. You're going to go with the black one?
Yep.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Gerald. It's been, as we said, a huge encouragement for you to be on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's been great. Thanks for making the effort to come out here and
No, it's not an effort.
and share your life
pleasure.
and wisdom with us. So it's been awesome. Thank you to everyone that's been watching or listening today. I'm sure everyone at Ride is devouring to hear more about the life of Gerald. Life of Gerald. I like that. That sounds like a good name for a movie. Anyway, thank you everyone. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald. And
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Joe.
No worries, mate. And as always, we finish with a one way.
One way.
One way.